and welcome to the program. I am Zainab Ubitin. The 2023 presidential election has come and gone, with the emergence of His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the president-elect. Now, Nigerians eagerly expect the incoming government to put Nigeria on a sustainable fiscal path with service delivery. Joining us to discuss issues this morning is none other person than a woman who was at the vanguard of campaign which led to the emergence of His Excellency for the 2023 presidential election. I'm talking about the Honourable Minister of State for FCT, Dr. RAMATU Tijani Aliyu. I don't think we have better people to discuss these issues than those who were at the forefront of campaign. Join us again after the break.
On the show today, I have one Nigerian who has come in nature for herself. I'm talking about no less a person than the Honourable Minister of State, FCT, in the person of Dr. RAMATU Tijani Aliyu. Ma'am, it's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much indeed.
I'm going to start off this interview looking at the moral values in Nigeria. Looking at the values from the basics, from the primary to the secondary and even to the tertiary institutions. The values of Nigeria and indeed Nigerians, looking at the culture, looking at what makes us Nigerians. From your own point of view as a mother, and indeed the woman who has stood the test of time, what do you think is wrong with the values we have in this country? And how can they be amended?
Wow, thank you very much, Prosper. I would like to clearly talk about the moral decadence of the society. The country first attitude that needs to be, reintroduced. That means the total resuscitation of our lost value system. I'm looking forward to Nigeria recovering the lost glory by inculcating certain norms that used to be in the Nigerians of these days. The country first attitude. In those days, the national flag meant so much to us. But today you could see national flag at the mechanics they are using in cleaning something without defined penalty or discipline for every member of the society. Total disrespect for the national flag, the national anthem, the national pledge. Particularly how bastardized today the national pledge is. I met a company who was telling me to serve Nigeria with disloyalty. Something like that. Without honor and glory. Unmutilated stuff. Either by an act of omission or deliberate purpose. We must just look into that quickly. Some can't even recite it at all, not because they don't want to. I saw the frantic effort made by some corpers and some secondary school students and primary alike to recite the national anthem. To be Bisa, our mind. Like that, they start humming. Because we've replaced the words, the weighty words, the meaningful words with instrumentality. So they can hum. So how do they know the words? How much more the meaning of the words? We look forward to a Nigeria where in the morning, the national pledge awakens our conscience. Pledging to Nigeria, our journey, is fundamental. That's the booster for the journey. If you do it daily, you feel committed to the country first attitude. We will look into it to see where the Nigerian history is actually, the history is returned into the Nigerian curriculum. Mr. Prosper. Our code of conduct is also returned. The young ones must learn the do's and don'ts of a developing nation, requiring unity amongst everything, commitment, and so on and so forth. So basically, I know with a disciplinarian like RAMATU TIJANI, and even a wife, a pastor, you need to sit with Senator Honourable, a vanguard of, women and women development. The prudence in her, the commitment to whatever she focuses or plans to do, looking and paying attention to the nitty-gritty, to the latter, is a plus. Encountering the sun, and he just came. And without looking at who was there, and he devalued. Very few of the established leaders of this country will find their sons or siblings in those shoes. We are looking forward to it being replicated in a larger Nigerian space. Their respect to elders and leaders is prioritized. What is wrong with us? We are decent dressing is also given attention. It matters. But we'll get there, Mr. Prospect.
Now, you've been in the corridor of advocacy for women in politics right from way back, ACN, up to now, that you're in APC, and yet your voice is still resounding. Tell us, what are those things we should be expecting?
It's okay.
Women, in politics with this administration or the incoming administration.
Let me start from the angle of the president-elect. I will tell you that the president-elect appreciates the role of women as the Amazons in nation building. And they will play a very pivotal role in this administration. The renewed hope vigor was felt during the campaign storm. And I know you saw that. Women were very prominent in the just, dissolved presidential campaign council. That is a pointer to the fact that they would expect more, that their numerical strength which votes came to bear will also be allowed to be given more participation. And invariably, the Nigerian women expect to have more inclusion. Like never before in this country, priority was given to the women and youth. And thus, you saw the formation of the Women and Youth Campaign Council that was inaugurated during the campaigns and ably led by the wife of the president herself, Haji Aishatu Muhammadu Buhari. And again under a guide and tutelage of distinguished Senator Honourable, the wife of the president himself. It did a lot of justice because never in the space of Nigeria had there been a defined campaign council purely for women, and youth. It's a concerted effort for women inclusion. And that will not be taken for granted. So needless to say that Nigerian women are very, interested in this administration. So it will be taken for granted that women made the right choice by voting Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. However, some of the benefits that Nigerian women, as contained in the Renewed Hope manifesto, is increased representation and opportunities to influence policy making, decision making, taking and implementation, being the bedrock of any given society. And we are optimistic that the Tinubu-Shettima administration will give women huge premium in the function, of governance. That will not be a bad idea. It's been long overdue. And that will invariably place Nigeria in a rightful place amongst the committee of nations that are engendered, that are gender responsive.
You are one person who has always believed in the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu over time. And even when, some party members even didn't believe, his candidacy and, his ability to even come up through the primaries, you were there. You want to tell us this driving force? What is that thing that, kept you believing that, at some point, His Excellency Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu will become president of this great country?
Well, I call it $1 million question. That's interesting. I would like to tell you clearly that I am a party person. And so I watch keenly the leadership, as I am one politician that grew through the cadre. From the grassroots, I came and walked through the system to this, if you call it the top. And to God be the glory. I am one believer in President Muhammadu Buhari. For his decency, for his uprightness, for his sincerity of purpose, his commitment to duty, and his disposition to Nigerians' unity and development. And the same values I saw in Bola Ahmed Tinubu in my first encounter with him, particularly during the merger. He is of the, from the defunct ACN, President Muhammadu Buhari from the CPC, before from the ANPP. And I also from the ANPP. During the merger, the ANPP had the likes of Ibrahim Shekara, Uba Farawa, myself, George Magalani, Ogunayonu being the national chairman of the party, and so on, in the merger team. Interestingly, I had to pay detailed attention because despite his being told to wait, we'll finish and bring, he ensured that he stayed and waited and attended, initiated all the nocturnal meetings, ranging from the birth of the acronym, the slogan, the name of the party, the symbol of the party. We are well debated, and so the manifesto and things to do and not to do. So I know, and I know the minuses we encountered where somebody else is to drive a ship that he does not know the direction it is coasting to. You cannot win a battle with another man's army. I see him just like President Muhammadu Buhari, one who was there and part and instrumental to the formation, whose efforts and support also led to the success of this administration. Clenching the ticket definitely will consolidate on our national democracy and its achievements. And from the stories and from the achievements in Lagos that are detailed back to his initiatives when he governed there. I'm not saying he was there all the way through, but the boldness, the sagacity with which he delved into a very wide space of innovation and development, and initiated so many things. Now we're on record for so many to consolidate upon like this, giving us the Lagos, the desired Lagos of today. Definitely, I know we consolidate to birth the Nigeria of our dream. So I've been itching and I was waiting patiently. During the first convention of the APC that brought the candidature and emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari, definitely, was to come up with Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the deputy vice president. Again, was the same argument, and as young as I was privileged to be around as the national woman leader, having been the vice chairman of the defunct All Nigerian People's Party, being the chairman of the North Central Zone. I was privileged to attend most of those meetings and debates for him to be the vice to President Muhammadu Buhari or not. And I saw the minuses that I, in my own human nature, found them also as negligible, if and only if content and capacity will be prioritized more. But the reasons we are given being the faith, just like we met again this time around, it will be a Muslim ticket. Even if it would have brought the most fantastic ticket, because he would have been there, he could have been there to give the push again to the President Muhammadu Buhari administration. But there, because of the religion, it was what led to his recommendation of the vice president. It was there in Teslim Balogun, we all learned to pronounce Oshibajo, some will say Osibajo, some will say, until we knew the name. And he came up with a fantastic also, version of a human being that is the vice president this time around too, and a Christian, and a pastor. He has also played his part. But I looked clearly that if a leader Nigeria desires, a leader like the enigma we have in Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if history or if posterity will do justice to it, so that he transfers the skills he has endowed in him to the younger generation, if given a chance, will come to bear, there must be this ticket. What do I mean? What do I mean by that? The South cannot be compelled to bring a Muslim where predominantly are Christians, except by decision like this. Collective responsibility of all of them to say we have voted for a Muslim to represent the South. Just that note that is predominantly Muslim will not be compelled to bring up a Christian candidate, except it is collective decision like this. So one thing I'm glad about, and I'll give kudos to President Muhammadu Buhari, is allowing the fair and free, primaries to take place. And that was all that was required. It did justice to it. During these primaries, we are even two renowned pastors, Professor Yemi Osubanjo and Tunde Bakari, on the platform of the APC. You also have had aspirants like, Rocha Sokoro's child, you had Jack Ridge, you had Rotimi Amechi, you had Emeka Wajuba, we had lots of them there that contested. Governor Umahi too interested. We had also from the southwest again, Kayode Fayomi, and so on. What am I saying? We saw democracy at work, that everybody was atop his nerve until the last minute. To me, and to many others like me, it did justice to democracy and emergence of candidates in the platform. Definitely, it's all about candidature and your ability to sell yourself. So they were all allowed to campaign. His emergence put a resonating smile on the faces of many that wanted equitable distribution of power and democracy, and that actually wanted to embrace power shift without relationship to faith. We were all born Nigerians before we embrace whichever faith. either by obeying our parents or whatever reason where we found ourselves. But we are first of all Nigerians, and that's the country first. And I also look at it that you notice even before the emergence, I know that it is already a transitional period for crying out loud. There must be a candidate on the platform of my party. Somebody must represent the party in the election. That does not necessarily mean that you are not, or you are moving away from the president, your president in place, because I am a cabinet member. I had many said that, but far from that, I will forever remain grateful to President Muhammadu Buhari for giving opportunity to even minorities in his cabinet. Ordinarily, if others will come up with petition of, the numerical strength, they will say the minority will never come to be. But what is the crime of someone from the minority tribe anyway, if he has the political sagacity and he has the intellectual capacity to represent his people very well in an equitable environment? Justifiably is to put him to test. And that his existence will not be taken for granted. This administration did justice to that, because going as far back as Adamawa and taking a minority tribe of Kilba, taking Babachi Lawal, after which he took Boss Mustafa and made him the secretary to the federal government, a high-ranking one in the cabinet, means it gives voice to the voiceless and has given ears to the cry of the minority, so that they don't feel less human, no matter the level of their, integrity and intellect. So in that is what I also expect to see here. Because we are all Nigerians, and relationships must not be taken for granted. Must be prioritized, that this contributed. You cannot eat or reap what you did not sow. But far from that, now the party must emerge someone. So if you know that and you are a politician that know your onions, is to prepare your vehicle, because I see a political party as a platform or a vehicle to move you from point A to B in the action of the country's governance. I am one person that has never cross-carpeted to any political party. I am a party person. I believe in the ideology of the party. So as much as I was waiting, whosoever emerges on the platform of the party is good to go, because I must serve that person with the last blood and the fiber of my existence, because I'm a party person. But at the same time, I had my wishes, because I am a very emotional person. I would not like to sell what is not right. I would not like to give to Nigerians a dummy that will spell the doom. So I was also fervently praying behind. So even when this happened and they said Muslim ticket, I said, it's high time the issue of religions taking center stage in Nigerian politics laid to rest, like other developed clients. What does it matter anyway? We are getting there. But I will tell you, Nigerians like myself are appreciative of what has happened. It is finally laying to rest the issue of tribal sentiment or religious sentiment. We saw we are in the forefront, we are the Northerners for the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu campaign. Much more even than in Lagos. I had to see Lagos, again Lagos, I doff my hat for you. I had to see Lagos sit up and butt up. Having realized that, wow. But that is just democracy. And it is not worth our blood. I saw and experienced the most peaceful election this time around in this country, with less snatchings of ballot boxes, because we are understanding that, again, we must give kudos to President Muhammadu Buhari administration. Power is returned to the people, because it's returned to the ballot box. But takes us back to your first question. What we do with the cultures imbibed. We must imbibe the culture of change. That slogan, change, does not mean change in government alone. Attitudinal change, our perception to government and governance, our perception to public properties, because it's ours, our perception to what and how we represent with our sentiments. Clearly, government and power is returning to the people. If we have an NAPEP person win a position to Nigeria's National Assembly from Kaduna State, if we have governors as desirous as they are of going to the National Assembly, losing elections and their seats to the common man, that means what is left to us is for Nigerians in totality to embrace this system of the, the new method of election. And if we do, the better. The common man is better for it, where you cannot afford to pay heavily. But you can afford to keep night vigil, to ensure that your vote counts, to ensure that you wake up to meet up the line, the queue, to vote. It has done justice to it. And if we have and actually imbibe the attitudinal change, it's left for the citizens not to go bribing, not to go buying. And then for the citizens who are in charge of representing at the INEC level, not to accept buying, not to encourage buying. So if there is no patronage, the seller will not sell. So there won't be a seller if there is no market. These two actions of trade against the Nigerian polity is carried out by all the citizens, not the government. So I urge us all to shun vote buying, to shun electoral malpractices. But we are getting there. Instead, they say a drop of water in the ocean does make a difference, even if you don't see it.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned. Join us again as this discussion continues next week. I am Zainab Obitin. Thanks for watching.